Tonight I'm going to make a, what the wife calls a spider box. And here was my first attempt at it. Didn't come out real well. I was afraid to go too deep. So I put this away for a long time. Then I needed a box for the class I took from Bonnie. And so I decided to do this again and had a little bit better luck with it. So the last couple of weeks I've been practicing how to do this. And after about 15 or 20 failures, you catch on to all the boo-boos. A couple of things about it is, I've got a couple of boxes here that are actually made in one piece. Oh, there was one here. Here, this one was made in one. I should turn this thing on since I got it on. Huh? Is that better? Okay. If you use an end grain like you would on a box, you can imagine this piece of end grain, and if you cut half of the way this way and the other half of the way down here, there isn't much left. So this becomes really weak. And I demonstrated this last week over at Woodcraft. And first 2 or 3 boxes I made, I pushed the lid down and it broke right through. So I thought, wait a minute, that's not too smart. So if you use a face grain wood, you can imagine you cut part of it away here and part of it away on the bottom, you still have fairly strong wood. So all with the exception of this one are made with an inlay in there. There's another reason for doing the inlay is, I've got a couple of them here that we can pass these around. You can pass this around. If you look at this inlay on the offset, you get these ugly looking notches in there, and they really don't do much. So there's one or two things: you either inlay it this way, or inlay it this way. Then you can cover up these all these little notches I got in there. But either way, and I'll show you tonight which way. There's several ways of doing that. It doesn't really matter which way you do it. The other one is this is made out of one piece, and then it leaves those notches on there. And in order to cover the notch, I put a little ebony ring around the edges of it. But anyway, there's lots of ways of doing this.
So is the ebony grain going the same way as the box or not?
Yeah, it's got the ring going now. Now most of these, what I did is I make the disc and inlay that, and this way you can either see inside or, oops, this way. You can see the inside is covered with a little picture frame, and then the outside has the, it's completely inlaid. This is the last one I made this morning, and I made this relatively thick, and so I actually rounded this thing over, so I don't know if you can really tell that on the camera or not. We can pass these around. This one's actually rounded over, and so there's just you can pass these around if you want. Anyway, they're kind of a novelty thing. I made a couple last week, and I didn't bring any because I didn't think we'd have time to do this today. But I know some of you have seen Johannes Reaver from Norway. He made 2,000 invitations to some wood products thing that the Japanese were holding in Norway. And these were invitations, and they laser engraved on the side, and that's what he did on these. He made 2,000 of these things. And he said, I said, how many months that take? He says, month? He works for a living, turns for a living. He says, how about a couple days? And the guy's nuts. Anyway, I made him about the size of a business card, and I did that last week at Woodcraft. I demonstrated that. And that's probably the easiest way to try this out if you really wanted to do this. We might be able to find a piece of wood to do that if we have time. But anyway, we can pass any of those around if you like. If you make this out of one piece, I mean, like I did on that one box, it's probably a lot more difficult. The other thing that you have to do is, if you make this, hand me that little, the other one in the front with the black ring. If you make this out of one piece, then obviously the true center circles have to be on the inside. because you can't do this offset circle on the inside of this lid. But, so that's the only real stipulation there is for doing this. First thing I do is I take a faceplate and I make sure that this is absolutely flat. I drill a hole in the middle, and I do that with a tailstock, with a drill bit in the tailstock, and I put a wood dowel in there. And 3/8, since I have a lot of 3/8 dowel, that's a pretty good size to use. You can use bigger, smaller, it doesn't really matter. Use a little glue on there. And I've got this made, it's got a hole drilled in the bottom.
The CA glue?
No, it's water. Water is a great glue for holding two pieces of wood together. What?
Is that because it swells the fibers on that
Swells
tenon?
the dowel up a little bit. This dowel is good for about 10 or 15, depending how, and by the way, I make sure that you drill it with a good flat bottom bit, Forstner bit or whatever, but don't use just a regular bit, because otherwise the bottom of the hole's tapered. So this way the hole's nice and flat. Oops, a little faster. I thought about bringing my little lathe set of it in there. First I'm going to turn this around. Then I'm going to face this off, because if you don't face this off, and get this nice and flat, it's too hard to measure the depth of your groove. Okay, this is not quite as flat as I want. So I take my trusty can opener. You might call it a screw chisel. It's great for opening paint cans. Okay, that's fairly flat. Now I'll go ahead and sand that to some 180. Okay, now I've got a fairly round disc. Next, I've got another faceplate that's got a piece of waste wood on it, and again, make sure that this is really flat so that it lays up against there. When the wood is up against it, it's got full contact. Then I've got another 3/8 dowel on it that's got about a 3/8 offset. And be careful, don't offset that too much, because if you go too much, then the two center patterns won't line up. So be kind of careful that you don't get carried away with it. And I know they sell expensive concentric chucks that are somewhere in the neighborhood of $300, and I probably got $2 in these for the nut and the washer. It's getting kind of loose. Maybe a little more glue here. You guys want to take a break a minute? Okay, the reason I marked my center circle is, since this is running off center, that it's hard to judge where that first cut is going to be. And if you don't get that first cut right, you might as well throw it away and start over, because there's no going back, you can't correct anything. The first thing I'm going to do is, this is the tool that I was using a parting tool, but the problem with the parting tool is, you know, where it's turned up and down like this, and then you put a you know, fairly sharp point to it. As it goes in, it has a tendency to cut against the side of that groove that you're creating. And this tool being much thinner, and it's got a little tiny cutting tip on the end. See that? Anyway, so it makes it, here, you can pass this around. This is the same thing.
Did you
This
make
is-
it or buy it?
This is just a piece of high-speed steel, or tool steel for machinists. It's a cutoff blade. That's all it really is. And I've ground it on both sides. The only bad thing is, I should have put this little, can you see that here? I should have put this more towards the left side so that I can get inside of boxes with it better. But as you can see, this is just a piece of high-speed steel, and it's a square steel rod. Now I need that light here. Does that look okay? Sorry about that, but I gotta have the light here.
Sorry, we can look at the video.
And I'm going right up to this notch here. I'm going right up to this notch. But what you want to be careful is you don't shove this flat surface into the wood, because it'll just rip it right off of there. I'm gonna put a little witness mark on this, just in case this thing wants to move.
Hey, Pete, you went out the side.
Huh? Damn.
Guessing this one on the inside can't be bigger than the outside.
Do what? Do what?
So that on this one, the inside can be bigger than the outside.
Now, the key is that you go in there straight and go in there parallel with the bed of the lathe, and don't twist it, because there's a very small little rib of wood sticking up there, and it doesn't take much to break it off.
These mostly maple?
Yeah, this is maple. Okay, I've got a little bit left here, and what the hell? I'll make one more.
Sorry, about 1,500 RPM or faster. What'd you say?
I'd say about 25, 28.
Okay.
At home, I turn mostly at about, I'm on a lathe about, on stuff like this, about 3,000 RPM. The faster the ones, the easier it works.
Yeah.
Don't tell these kids that, man. Now you can see that I've got, by using this as a depth gauge, I've got a fairly uniform depth here, because if you don't, when you cut back from the other side, you want to be in a big problem. So, oh, the light comes with me.
Bonus.
Oh, I need to clean this up a little bit. Now, these are square cuts going in there. I want to round them all over just a little bit. So I'll take a real thin parting tool. And I just kiss the edges of it. So it kind of rounds over the edges of the top a little bit rather than leaving real square. You can see by putting a little water on it, it does really help hold that together. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn the truth circle. There's a couple of ways you can do that. You can use a chuck, and since I don't want to damage it, I've got a little collar that this will fit in, and then both of those will go inside my chuck. Whoops, the other way around, dummy.
What is that collar made of?
Plastic.
PVC?
I don't know. Plastic. I call everything plastic.
Looks like Teflon.
Huh?
I think it's Teflon.
No, it's not Teflon. You definitely do not want to use Teflon. For two reasons. Teflon's is about $40 a square foot. It's really expensive, and it's slick. It won't hold. This is, no, it's polypropylene. See, I managed to say that. Don't ask me to repeat that.
Poly who?
Pollyanna
How did you make that?
on the lathe. I couldn't resist that, sorry. Okay,
Question, how did you grind the tip on this tool?
on the grinder, just on the grinder. No. Just use the grinder. Huh?
Did you just use the corner of the wheel?
No. I use the face of the wheel. I try not to use the corner, the outside of the wheel at all, because that'll get you into trouble.
So how did you get the shape of that?
Here. Can you get that? I've got my grinder set at two different, this is about 25, this is, all my scrapers are shaped, ground to this side, and this one is set at 40. And the rest of it I just do by hand. And I just lay it on there, like this, and then just grind it. And then I lay it on this side and grind this.
So you do hit the quarters, okay.
I hit the face of the wheel though.
Oh, I see.
The face is doing
The face is doing the grinding. You really don't want to put side pressure on the stone, especially these white stones. They're not that tough anyway. They're rather weak. But
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, now I lost
Just got to
my-
that third leg down.
Okay, I need my pencil. Now I'm going to make a mark because now I need to remove the most of this wood from this side. Well,
What was the mark for?
so I know how far how much did it remove.
Okay.
Give me the other one that's most partially done there. No, there was one that's half done, that the offset is turned. Oh, here it is. This one fit better. Okay, I've got some of these extra ones here. You can see how these are made. We can pass these around. You can see how I make these things. First I do is I turn a round disc that'll fit inside my jaws and set the jaws on your chuck so that they're making a perfectly round circle. You don't want to you want this to make it as close to a round circle as possible. And then turn this between centers so it'll just fit in there. Okay, then you can put a recess on there, whatever size you want. Now, most of these I have a different size recess on this one's a 7/8, and I think it's 1.25 on the other side. And rather than buy a bunch of jaws, you can make these yourselves. You can make these out of wood too, but the plastic holds up longer. So now I've got these two different sizes that I can use as an insert. Okay, there's a couple of advantages. Number one, you don't have to buy a bunch of jaws. The other thing is you can hold a finished piece of wood without marring it, because most of these jaws on these trucks have, you can pass that around. Most of these jaws have a tooth on the outside so that, you know, bites down into a dovetail, and this way that eliminates that. So it isn't super strong, but it's strong enough to usually work for you.
Do you make those out of a solid piece of plastic?
Yeah, no, make them out of a solid piece of plastic, and then once you've got it made to the side, then take them to the bandsaw and cut a little V out of there. And that way they'll squeeze up on the, you know, there's some gift to them.
A V or a slot?
The V, you'll see them when they come by.
And what's your source for that plastic?
Whoever has plastic.
Plastic carriers are pretty cheap.
Plastic you can buy anywhere. What you want to be careful of is that they don't extend beyond the face of the jaws too far. Because if they come out here more than about 1/8 of an inch, I know a lot of you see me make ornaments, and I use the real small jaws on my, and I thought, well, I could make an insert that'll fit in there. So I made these real long tapers so that I can keep my knuckles away from the jaws, because you notice that I'm not real careful about those things. And I thought, hey, I'll be real smart, and I'll taper this way out here so that I can keep my knuckles away from the jaws. And every time I push it in, it pop out. And it dawned on me after about 4 or 5 times, if you squeeze on the back end of that thing, the front end opens up. So that didn't work too well.
Steve,
Yeah,
that plastic that they were asking where they can get it, they have it bulk at Woodcraft, different brands.
different brands, different colors, and
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
And by the way, for any of you that are interested, this week I'm demonstrating how to turn a bowl out of green wood, and then I've also got a dry one that I'm going to finish. And after Mother's Day weekend, the next week, Thursday, I won't be there. But after that, I'm going to do a kaleidoscope, and that's probably going to take 2 weeks. I'm going to try to make all the different parts that it takes to make one. The guys have been asking me for a long time, so I finally broke down, and I'll be demonstrating how to make a kaleidoscope.
Takes a long time to turn all those little pieces of glass, doesn't it?
Well, no, the glass is easy to break, you just drop it. That was the easy part. I got lots of experience at that. I like this lathe, it's got a fan built in there. We need to put a little deflector so the blow comes right off the motor and keeps you cool.
So do you need to remove the whole?
Right. Right, yeah, I should have mentioned that. The reason you start out with a thick piece of wood, so that you've got room to drill a hole in it, and then when you got the one side cut, that you can remove that extra. Otherwise, you wouldn't have there wouldn't be the extra material in. Again, I use my trusty can opener here to smooth this up. Now, unfortunately, we're going to have a little hole in the middle here, because I didn't allow for enough wood here. One thing, anytime a tool's got a profile on it like this, make sure that you support it underneath the solid part. Don't try to hold it on the end, because this bottom will catch and dig into your tool rest. So make sure that you've got this tool off the tool rest and up there. Now, as soon as this you penetrate that other surface, you can feel that little ticking in the vibration in the tip of that tool. Need to go just a little bit more. Actually, let me change this over here a little bit.
Pete, how's deep is that dowel on your other jig? How long is the dowel?
Pass that to him. I wasn't going to throw that at you, honest. I did that at the gym one time. I made a box and I didn't realize I tossed it and he was asleep. So from now on, I usually try to make sure that the guy's got his eyes open. Was it a small job?
Good man.
Could you repeat that last part? Put that wood back in and...
Isn't that thing ever rewind?
No, for the part that didn't get recorded.
Okay, now again, I want to just touch the hit the corners. Since I got a hole in there, I might as well decorate that. Good enough for government work.
Watch it.
Oh, wait a minute, that's an oxymoron, government and work?
We'll see you Thursday night.
We also resemble that mark.
By the way, I understand that the state is going to start saving money next year on the highway department, because they're going to start buying shovels that'll stand up by themselves. Okay, can you see that? Okay, you can still see some of the wood that's left in between here. And the easiest way to clean that up is to take an X-Acto knife. I don't know why they call it an X-Acto knife, there's nothing exact about it. And just push it through. And if you're really fussy, you can take some sandpaper, cut real tiny little thin strips, and run them through there to really clean that up well.
While the lathe's moving?
Very quickly.
If you can handle it that fast.
Anyway, here, clean that up. Put you to work. Any questions on any of this so far?
Yeah, you have the different diameters on your plastic. What is that? Why do you have those different diameters?
To hold different things, to hold different size
All right.
items.
Okay, it's just, but it's arbitrary for diameter.
Yeah, whatever you're doing. I'm not sure why some of these are the size they are, I have no idea. But you used to be able to buy these from Soren Berger. In fact, I had this one and a great big one that I bought from Soren Berger, but they're like, I forget what they were, like $10 for a little piece of plastic. I said, wait a minute, I can make them easier myself. But like I say, the key is that to make them maybe an 1/8 inch beyond the face of the job, but not much more than that. You couldn't be done already.
Good enough for government work.
He probably thinks he's going to win that. What's the number again?
What number are you calling?
Is
If I
there
thought I was gonna win, I
recommended
would've
woods?
cleaned it up
Is
better.
that what?
Recommended woods or not recommended woods?
You probably don't want something that's really soft or, too brittle, yeah.
So big
I probably wouldn't use ebony, because ebony's kind of brittle. African blackwood probably would be a better choice. Your best choice is French boxwood, but the damn French send us those French fries, which is killing all of us. Then they won't sell us the stupid wood. But
balance, you get the best of both worlds.
But anyway, yeah, the French boxwood works really well, but it's very expensive and it's very hard to get in more than about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches. It's hard to get any bigger than that. I called some guy the other day and he said, oh no, he said they never go any bigger than 3 inches. I said, okay, whatever.
Pete, I have a question.
Yeah,
This one you machined out, left it flat on the back side. This one you've relieved it on the, is that
because
the
that,
reason? Is it
is
just-
there writing on the back of that?
Yeah, there's the size 7/8.
Okay, that's what fits in there.
Yeah, okay, I just wonder why this was recessed.
Well,
See, on the back side of it,
Okay,
Two different sizes.
obviously you're English, right?
yes.
Okay. No, I'm not trying to make fun. I'm Dutch.
Oh, well, just now I know why.
Now you know why.
If there's any moisture in the wood, it lets the water through, right?
No. It has nothing to do with water. It just, a tool that can't do two things is worthless to me. A tool should be able to do at least two things. So I can hold two different sizes. That's all.
Okay, yeah, I'm just wondering if you're understanding what I'm, so you just turn this over and then it's
Right.
on that side.
Right.
Thank you.
What is that, an extension?
Yeah, it's an adapter because all my stuff fits at a little lathe. Okay, next thing we got to do is make a box to put this in. I guess you could just make coasters out of these things, I suppose, I don't know, but You look pretty good in the box, so next thing we'll do is we'll make this.
Just try to keep the mess to a minimum, okay?
Okay, who's cleaning up tonight? Not me, or Holtus? Okay, we're gonna just make a box out of this soft maple. Find the middle.
Pete, the depth of the groove, it's what, about 2/3?
No, I tried to do half and half, but I didn't get, I got a little carried away. That hole got a little deep on that one. This one's a little more even. And I don't know that the depth of that really makes all that much difference. The only thing is if you only go 16ths from each side, that means that the finished piece of wood's only an 1/8 inch, and that might be a little bit too weak. So if you go an 1/8 inch in from each side, you'd probably be better off. You'd have a better luck at it. Because some of the first ones I made, I try to make them real thin, and it's, you know, they're fairly weak. You get it all cleaned out? Somebody want to inspect that or make sure it's okay?
He did good.
He did okay? Don't say he did good, just say he did okay.
He did okay.
Gotta keep him humble.
Okay, first thing you do is turn this thing around. This tool is bigger than my lathe. You know, that light color stuff. Thank you. Bet this lady didn't know it could run that fast. Put a tenner on it so it'll fit my shot. Okay. I'm going to read through this, make sure it's running nice and smooth. up this end grain. Okay, where's that disc we're gonna inlay?
You want the more even one or the?
Which one you want?
Just one that's decent. Huh? Pick the best one.
The one that isn't thin, the half and half.
One that guy didn't clean. He didn't clean this. I did. Okay. Now, if we're gonna inlay this with the offset inside, then I need to cut a groove in there deep enough for this whole thing to fit down in there. Okay, I mean, if I put the true center inside, then I would have to cut a hole deep enough to fit this whole disc in there. But if I just wanna cut it up to, install it up to here, the hole won't have to be quite that deep, so I'll put the true circle to the outside. That's okay with everybody?
No, I prefer it the other way.
Well, what's your number again? Make sure to take his number off. Using the vernier calipers to give me the inside-outside dimension. So that's how deep we can go. I'm going to cut a square recess in there to receive this disc. Hey, we got lucky the first time. Just a little bit more.
And you leave a little step in the bottom to actually have some.
Yeah, like a picture frame on the inside, yeah. Just leave a step in there about a 1/6 or so. Doesn't need to be that big. There's that'll cover up. Now, this is a fairly delicate piece of wood. You want that just to slide in there. Don't try to force it.
You secure it with water, right?
Huh?
Secure it with water.
Secure with water. Okay, I'm going to part off this, the side where I want my my lid. That'll be close enough. hard, so I clean this up now. I'm cutting the tenon that's going to be on the bottom of the box. Part off the lid. Using as thin a parting tool as you have. Now we got to glue this insert inside the lid. This can right here. Using trusty old super glue. Word of caution here, I did this last week and I turned the ends, finished this lid before this glue set up. And I spent about 2 days getting it chucked apart. Okay, we'll set this aside and hopefully that'll be dry in a while. Okay, first I'm going to concentrate on this, on the bottom of the box. First I want to do is I want to clean up this tenon so it's nice and clean. The tenon on the box has to be cut clean, you can't sand that. Because no matter how careful you sand something like this, it'll oval itself real quick. And so be really careful, make sure that you get a nice clean cut. And then also clean up this top real well. And I put a real small step in there. It's got a lot more torque than mine because I can grab a hold and stop that thing.
You can't stop that one, it's still under power.
Huh?
That thing's still under power until it stops, your hand is just under back.
Okay, I'm going to put a real small little groove in there to separate the lid from the bottom of the box. Then I'm going to use my depth gauge here to make sure that I don't go through the bottom. Just only cleaned up here on the edges, so I don't care what the rest of this looks like. It's going to go away shortly. I've got these tools, and if we can pass one of these around, just pass the small one around. This is an end grain hollowing gouge. It's a little bit thicker on the bottom of the tool. This area in here is a little thicker, and the top is cut away. And the reason for cutting the top away is that if you don't cut the top away when you make your cut, and you'll see that in a minute, if that top catches, you got a real major disaster on your hand. So let me set this out of the way. The way this tool works, it just goes in, start in the middle, you drill the hole, and then bring it back. And have you seen that Raffin cut, where he cuts his backwards like this, cuts it upside down? I tried it a number of times, I could never get it to work because I do most of my turning on a small lathe, and there just isn't room. But it's basically the same thing as cutting this way. You just go in and bring it back out. This is a lot more control than the method that he uses. And I usually screw that up right at the very last thing, and the whole thing goes flying.
When you're howling, is it just flat? Is the opening straight up?
The flute's on about a 45.
On a 45.
And then you just wriggle around till you find the metal, drill the hole, and then just bring it back. And it's ground a much shorter bevel on the face here than a regular spindle gouge is, because if you grind this on a real sharp bevel on the tip is too weak. So
You're
you
not
just
really rotating it.
no, I just raking it out like that, scooping it like you would scoop ice cream.
You say you hold it about 45?
Yeah, the flute's on about a 45, but 44, 46, it's not super critical. But I mean, you don't want it completely over, and you don't want it facing up. Because if it faces up, it grabs and sucks it, the wood will suck it in there, and you'll end up in deep trouble. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to straighten those walls out a little bit. Now I'll finish cleaning up the bottom. With a scraper. Take that out so I don't stick my elbow into it. That looks better. This may hit my crazy bone, at least won't punch a hole in it. Got a little bit of a step in there. There's a couple of reasons why I like to kind of round the inside of a box. The first reason is it's really tough to sand into a corner and get a real clean cut. The other thing is if you put something in a box that has, where the corner, the inside just goes down to a 90, if you put something in it, you can't hardly get it out. Every time you try to get whatever's in there out, it ends up in the corner, you have to dump the box over. And so rather than make this hard on you, first place, like I say, the first reason is selfish. I don't want to try to sand into that corner because it's just too hard to do. And the other is just, it makes life a little easier for the person trying to get something out of that box. I got a different scraper that I would have used, but me that's good enough. Next, you want to sand the inside, and I won't spend too much time on that. Seeing who it's for, right? Huh?
Make it easy on them.
Paper towel. Since all you guys old this late and are watching, so I'll just go ahead and protect it here. If you weren't watching, I'd just go ahead and slop it all over. This is lacquer sanding sealer that's diluted half and half as lacquer thinner. So it's really thin. Because basically what I wanted to do is I wanted to go in the wood, not just sit on top. Huh? No, it's lacquer sanding sealer and lacquer thinner. So it's diluted about half and half, so it's real thin. So it really penetrates down into the wood. Give me that shoe polish in there. And there should be some steel wool in that bag. That's all. That polish is with a little wax. Now, if you're using a really hard wood, a real tight grained wood, like that boxwood, probably on the inside, I wouldn't even put a finish, I'd just put some wax. The advantage of that is this lacquer really stinks up the place. Kiwi boot polish, yeah, neutral. If you're using light colored woods, it probably wouldn't do well to use black, but you could try that, dye it with it. Use it to dye some stuff. Get a nice effect that way. Okay. Next thing we'll do is turn the inside of that lid. Give me another chuck. Right there, another chuck. Now I have a lot of chucks, so I'll make use of them. If you don't have a chuck, you can easily put this into a waste block and make a jam chuck for it.
What's that? Is that the lid?
This is the lid. First thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to screw up the face of that lid. Clean that up. Transfer this size from here to there. Get rid of the waste on the inside. Okay, now I'm going to put a tenon on there. I mean, a reef mortise in there. I can smell the glue. Hopefully that didn't blow into my chuck.
Have you done that before?
You got a front row seat Thursday? I'll make sure that bowl comes off the lathe. Okay, that's good, but it's not quite deep enough. It's a little bit loose, but we got a cure for that too.
Water.
There isn't that much water around. Still not deep enough. Now we'll cut the top of this one off. This is one of those times that an air compressor is really handy to have. Get rid of that paper towel in there. I knew we didn't clean it up good enough. Put a little finish inside. Thank you. A little wax on that.
Grind down your steel guys?
Do what?
Did you grind down the pallets?
When they come that way. That's a Reiki signature gouge, or whatever they call it. If you buy them, the other ones that is PN tools out of Australia, they're made the same way. The bottom of that's real thick. Most gouges are shaped like this, and they're fairly even throughout, but these tools are a little bit thicker in there, so that you got a little bit more body in there. Because you're quite a ways off the tool west, and there's just a little bit more meat in there. You could do that with a regular gouge, but you're limited to how far you can go off. If you notice, I got this in 1/2 inch and 3/8. On deeper boxes, I use a 1/2 inch. On the smaller boxes, I use a 3/8. But yeah, you can make those yourself. You can buy them either hand or unhanded, whatever. Now, this is not finished, so that's why I didn't mind putting a little teeth marks in there, because this is not quite done yet anyway, so it's not that big a deal. Thank you. Okay, this lit's a little loose, so there's a couple ways to fix that. You can, I think one of these boxes, there's some, look in that bucket, there's some facial tissue. Thank you. Best thing to use is little Kleenexes, because they bend a little easier, they fit around rather than paper towels. And if you're really careful, you can still use those. I told you I'm Dutch, we'd save everything. There's kind of an unwritten rule, if you have to use 4 layers of tissue, you're in deep trouble. Here's the tool I was looking for the whole time. Okay, first I'll clean up this the surface here. A little sand with some 40 grit. I'm going to dome this slightly. So it's got a skew chisel. Just laying it on its side, otherwise known as a can opener. I know a lot of guys use these for can openers. They really work good. With a little practice, you can use these for other things. And you can hear how delicate that is. This is very thin.
Do you have to worry about if you've got the eccentric rings facing out doing that?
No.
It's still okay?
Oh yeah. As long as you're just barely touching it and just lightly scraping. Just lightly scraping is not. You're not beating up on this thing. So no, it's either way. It doesn't. Now, when you're doing the off center, that usually would be clear all the way inside anyway, for the simple reason that otherwise you see the notches that you saw that on that disc. You see those notches in there. So it would be clear all the way inside. Yeah, so that, yeah, you can easily rake that tool across there. I'm surprised nobody asked what grid I started with.
Sandpaper grid, right?
Right.
Fine. Pete, what grid did you start with?
Whatever it takes.
There you go.
But it was just really funny. Rex Birmingham was doing a demo up in Lebanon one time, and something wasn't going quite right, and somebody asked that stupid question about, well, what grid did you start with? And and he's a big guy. And I wouldn't have asked him and made him mad, but the guy said, well, of course, whatever it takes. And, but anyway. Now, I'm basically concentrating on sanding just the top here. This is not, I'm not trying to sand the base because I'm going to have to flip it around and finish it anyway. To put a little finish on that, give me another paper towel. Oh, here, I got it right here. Thank you. You got lots of time?
Oh, that kind of time. 8:47. They want us out by 9. So, 13 minutes.
One of the bad things about this kind of a finish is when it's summer and it's really hot, you have to be really careful because it dries virtually instantly. And so you have to be kind of careful about that. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is then finish up the bottom. Okay, I just need that one there, that's fine. I just slide this onto a jam chuck and finish the bottom. Before I put that on there, I better make sure I got lots of wood. You know, boxes with a hole in the bottom don't sell well. You tried that, Bruce?
Oh, yeah, poncho.
What's that?
You just missed marketing though.
Yeah.
I'll do one of these on the bottom and then it's done with it.
Put two tops on it.
Also, there's always a big controversy about what's the right fit on the lid. And, all these wood turners will tell you that the lid has to have you have to be able to pick a box up by the lid and it's got a hole for 5 seconds and all that crap. And, but the only ones that really look for that are wood turners, and I've never sold one of my boxes to another wood turner. So. You guys are either just too damn cheap to buy them, or you tell your wife that you can make your own. But the thing of it is I think boxes that have too tight of a lid kind of scare people as far as whether they're going to get it off, or especially if you get sent to somebody in the East Coast or where humidity is a little more than what we have. So be kind of careful about that. Don't get carried away with that. Always make sure that the underneath side of this lid, or this box, is got a little bit of a recess under it. There's no reason not to decorate this, so. One thing you want to be really careful of is that when you get to the center, the grains go in this way, that you don't get too aggressive, because it's easy to tear the fibers out, and when they tear out, they usually go into the inside of that box. So be kind of careful about that. Don't get carried away with that. When you get to the middle, make sure that you slow down the rate of feed, that you slow the tool down a little bit. On soft wood like this, it's real easy to get little lines in there, and sand with the grain if you can. Since we got teeth marks on the bottom here, we'll take care of that. So Vaughn, you want to pick your winning number?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's mine. Oh, yeah, say it.